The scariest part of a spiritual awakening isn't what you gain, it's what you're forced to lose. That's the part no one tells you about. Not the light, not the peace, not the so-called blessings everyone posts about on social media. No, it begins in the shadows, when the things you thought you couldn't live without start falling away. When people you've known for years suddenly feel like strangers. When the places you've always felt safe start to feel like cages. It's not gentle, it's not pretty, it's a ripping away of the familiar. You feel the ground shift under your feet, and your old self, the one who followed the rules, fit into the boxes, and spoke the language of approval, starts to crumble. And deep down, you know there's no going back, because once you've seen through the illusion, you can't unsee it. Once you've felt the pull of something greater, you can't pretend it's not there. This is the first breath of awakening, messy, uncomfortable, and yet unstoppable. The first thing that falls away is the need for external validation. At first, it feels like losing oxygen. You've been taught your whole life to breathe through approval, likes, comments, the nods and smiles of people who get you. But then you realize something. Their approval has been a leash around your neck, pulling you this way and that way, until you barely remember what your voice even sounds like. During awakening, the leash snaps, and it's terrifying. Because now, you're walking without the applause. No safety net of constant reassurance. No mirror to reflect back who you are. But as the silence settles, you start to hear something else. Your own heartbeat, your own truth, the knowing that your worth was never in their hands. You see, the opinions of others, they're just projections of their own inner world, not the truth of. And in that moment, you stop needing to be liked by everyone. You stop bending yourself into shapes that don't fit. You stop chasing the approval that was keeping you small. Instead, you stand in your own light, and for the first time, it's enough. The next thing you lose is your grip on things. Not because someone takes them away, but because you start to see through them. Money, cars, the shiny proof that you made it. For years, you were taught to measure your worth by what you could hold in your hands, by how many square feet you lived in, by the logos stitched into your skin. But awakening changes the lens. You look around and realize it's all temporary, all fading, all just objects trying to fill a space that can't be filled from the outside. So you stop collecting and start clearing. You open your closet, your drawers, your shelves, and you let go. Not because you hate these things, but because you no longer believe they define you. You find joy in simpler things. A morning light that spills through the window. A walk that takes you somewhere your soul feels free. You shift from having to being, and in that shift, you discover something wild. The less you cling, the more room you have for what truly matters. Then comes the moment. You realize control was never real. We spend our lives trying to script every detail. We plan, we force. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure. Fear that if we don't hold the reins, everything will fall apart. But awakening teaches you a different truth. Control is just an illusion we cling to when we don't trust life. So you start to loosen your grip. You stop wrestling with what if and how and when. You begin to trust the current that's been carrying you all along. You set your intention. You take the step you can take. And then you surrender, not in defeat, but in faith. faith in the divine timing, faith in the unfolding you can't yet see, and something unexpected happens. Life stops feeling so. You stop bracing for disaster. You start flowing with what is, because you finally understand. The universe doesn't need you to control it. It just needs you to trust it. And then there are the people, the ones you thought would walk beside you forever, the ones who once felt like home. But somewhere along the way, you start to notice. Your energy drains after every conversation. Your dreams shrink when you're around them. Your light dims just to make them comfortable. These are the anchors disguised as companions. You tell yourself they'll change. You tell yourself loyalty means staying. You tell yourself it's love. But deep down, you know, some connections are not meant to be carried into the next chapter. So you let go, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of love for yourself. It's not easy. It's not clean. It's not the kind of goodbye that comes. But when you create that space, something shifts. The noise fades, the heaviness lifts, and the people who are meant for you, the ones who lift you higher, see your soul and speak your language, they start to arrive, because you finally made room for them. One of the deepest losses is the version of you that pretended, the one who smiled when you wanted, the one who stayed silent to keep the peace, the one who wore masks so well, you almost believed they were real. Awakening burns those masks to ash, and at first, it feels naked, exposed, vulnerable. Because authenticity isn't just telling the truth, it's living it. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs you approval, even when it changes everything, you stop diluting your opinions so others can digest them. You stop playing small so no one feels threatened. You stop apologizing for the space you take up. Instead, you stand in your truth, raw, unpolished, unapologetic, and something miraculous happens. The right people, and you begin attracting a life that feels aligned, not forced, because you finally understand the only approval you will ever truly need is your own. And then comes the final release, the one we're taught never to speak about, the one we're told to fear from the moment we take our first breath, death, the unspoken end, the invisible line you hope is far, far away. But awakening changes the way you see it. You begin to understand death is not a wall, it's a doorway, not an ending, but a passage. Your soul has worn many bodies, walked many worlds, loved and lost more times than your mind can remember. And when you realize this, you stop clinging to life in desperation and start living it in fullness. Every sunrise feels like a gift. Every breath becomes a prayer. Every moment holds more beauty because you know it's fleeting. You no longer live in fear of the unknown. You trust that whatever waits beyond this form is just another homecoming. And in that trust, so in the end, you realize this journey isn't about gaining more. It's about losing the weight of what was never truly yours, the need for validation, the grip on possessions, the illusion of control, the people who dim your light, the masks that hide your truth, and the fear that keeps you from living fully. And in their place, you find something far greater, yourself. Your unshakable, unfiltered, unafraid self. The self that moves with trust instead of fear. The self that chooses freedom over comfort. The self that knows every ending is only the start of something higher. So, if you feel it now, that stirring in your chest. You're not here by accident. You're here because you're ready. And if you've been walking this road already, you're not alone. Join me. Let's walk it together. Subscribe. Turn on the bell so you never miss a step. Leave a comment below and tell me, what have you let go of since your awakening began? Because your story matters, and someone somewhere is waiting to hear it, so they know it's okay to let go too. This is not the end of your journey. It's just the beginning.